TC Confidential is a series of videos that show the restoration and maintenance of my 1990 Chrysler's TC by Maserati. The TC is a car that I've liked since I first read about it in the mid-80s. To me, it offers the practicality and dependability of Chrysler mechanicals with the styling of an 80s European Grand Touring Roadster, an exquisite Italian leather interior with an engine and suspension tuned by Maserati. Now, I present this chapter of TC Confidential.
The classic definition of a Grand Touring automobile is a vehicle that allows the driver and at least one passenger the ability to cross continents in luxury, with above-average performance and style. Grand Tourers are most often the coupe derivative of sedans. American manufacturers stopped building factory convertibles in the 70s because of fear of rollover safety legislation. The last domestic factory-built convertible was the 1976 Cadillac Eldorado. In the 80s, Chrysler was the first American manufacturer to return to marketing a factory-built convertible, with the front-wheel drive LeBaron of 1982. Until 1988, the only factory-built Grand Touring Roadster sold in the United States was the Mercedes-Benz SL. Then Jaguar introduced its factory-built XJS drophead coupe. In 1984, Lee Iacocca, chairman of Chrysler Corporation, and Alejandro de Tomaso, chairman of Maserati, announced a joint venture to produce a car. These two produced the DeTomaso Pantera for Lincoln Mercury in the 1970s. DeTomaso was struggling to keep Maserati afloat. Iacocca had just paid back his government loans and was making a profit. The two thought they could create a win-win situation for both companies. Chrysler bought 15% of Maserati. Building the car in Italy would help Maserati's cash flow, give the new car an exotic heritage, and Chrysler would get a car that would bring Dad into the dealership, and the family would leave in the shiny new minivan Mom wanted. The initial idea was to build a mid-engine sports car, but Chrysler could not justify the development cost for one model. To make financial sense, the car had to be built on an existing platform. Maserati was developing the rear-wheel drive bi-turbo at the time, and the only Chrysler rear-drive platform in production was over 30 years old. Chrysler did have a prototype vehicle that could be turned into a production car: the 1982 LeBaron two-seater. In 1985, Lee Iacocca stated that the planned Q-coupe would be the prettiest Italian to arrive stateside since his mother immigrated, with a 1987 debut planned. Chrysler intended to sell 4,000 to 5,000 TCs per year in the U.S. through 300 selected Chrysler dealers. TC originally stood for Turbo Convertible, then changed to Touring Convertible when the V6 TC was introduced in 1990. The TC was Chrysler's two-seat corporate flagship and aimed squarely at the Cadillac Alante, Buick Reatta, and the Mercedes 380 SL, planned to sell for about $20,000 less than its $50,000 rival. The TC's Q platform was based on a shortened Dodge Daytona chassis with upgraded suspension and axles. Original sheet metal designs were done at Chrysler's Highland Park studio. The bodywork was produced by the DeTomaso subsidiary Innocenti. The 1989 TC used a Daytona-spec turbocharged 2.2-liter straight-4. This intercooled version, known as the Turbo 2, was coupled to an A413 3-speed automatic transaxle. For 1990, the Turbo 2 was replaced by a Mitsubishi 3-liter V6 engine and the 4-speed A604 automatic transaxle. 500 cars were built with a drivetrain consisting of a Getrag manual transmission and 200 horsepower 16-valve cylinder head version of the 2.2-liter. This engine is called the Maserati engine because it was assembled by Maserati and has a Maserati-branded cast valve cover. A truly international car. 75% of the front-wheel drive TC's parts were built in Italy. The sheet metal, chassis components, and engine/transaxle came from the US, the Michelin tires from France, a Getrag transmission, struts and shock absorbers were specially designed for the car by Fichtel and Sachs, and a Tevis anti-lock braking system all from West Germany, the wiring from Spain. The wheels were made in Italy by the Formula One supplier Fond Metal. The Grand Touring Roadster had taken 5 years to produce because of differences among Chrysler and Maserati engineers and managers. The TC was supposed to be introduced before the new LeBaron Coupe and convertible of 1987. The LeBaron styling was patterned after the TC. With a casual glance, the LeBaron looks like a TC with hidden headlights and a slightly different taillight treatment. Even though the only interchangeable body parts is the windshield. Both cars do share engines, transmissions, and other mechanical pieces. In 1989, a fully optioned LeBaron convertible sold for about $10,000 less than the TC. The TC didn't sell as expected, and after 3 years, only 7,300 were produced. According to Bob Lutz, a Chrysler executive, the partnership with Alejandro de Tomaso resulted in only the TC, a misadventure that wound up costing Chrysler close to $600 million. Each of the 7,300 TCs cost about $80,000 to build in $1990 or $183,000 in 2023 dollars. The TC has all the ingredients of a Grand Touring Roadster: luxury, a handcrafted leather interior, a full complement of powered accessories along with an 8-speaker premium sound system. The only option being a CD player. Above average performance, the no extra cost 200 horsepower 16-valve 2.2L Maserati engine put the TC on par with the Mercedes 380 SL and the Jaguar XJS, and style. 30 years later, the TC still turns heads. The TC was successful at what it was designed to do. Like the 50s Ford Thunderbird, its design architecture influenced other Chrysler models. Chrysler sold over 500,000 of the TC-styled LeBarons from 1987 to 1995. Chrysler had succeeded in producing a luxury 2-seater with panache equaling the Cadillac Alante, Jaguar XJS, and Mercedes SL of the late 80s.